Hello, and welcome to a series of Feed Your Faith segments entitled The Normal Christian Life. My name is Ian White, and in these segments we're going to be looking at what St. Paul describes as a fruit of the Spirit, the natural consequences of having God's Holy Spirit indwelling us as believers. And I hope you'll find them helpful in understanding and possibly recalibrating your own journey as a Christian believer. Now, the normal body temperature is around 37 degrees Celsius when measured in the mouth. If our body temperature rises, we suffer from pyrexia, show a fever, and the higher it goes, the more dangerous it becomes. Similarly, if my core body temperature falls a long way, I begin to suffer from hypothermia. If our bodies go outside these normal bounds, we suffer serious consequences, and it can, in some cases, be fatal. Now, what is true of our bodies, and we'll come back to the use of our bodies in a moment, is also true of our souls. So that the headline idea of these segments is that the fruit of the Spirit represents the normal operating conditions for the human soul. Follow Christ wholeheartedly. Be filled with his Spirit, and you will see these qualities developing in your own heart. I'm not going to say it's all going to be easy or plain sailing, but that's the direction of travel. Now, the world is not full of Billy Grahams or Mother Teresas or Queen Elizabeths or whoever your particular Christian hero happens to be. Most of us are very ordinary. And it's us, commonplace, unexceptional Christ followers, for whom Paul was writing when he wrote to the Galatians and when he described the fruit of the Spirit. It's for us that they were intended. So this is really what genuine Christianity looks like. Now, I'm aware that most people watching this film are going to identify as Christians. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have subscribed to the channel. That's a hint, by the way. But some of us may not be. And if that's you, or if you're just thinking about putting your toe in the water of Christian faith, then these 9 qualities will represent what you're getting into. I hope that what you'll see here is a description of what normal Christian life is like, so that you know in advance of committing yourself to Christ wholeheartedly. The London Bridge in the 1600s was a huge affair. Originally built as an open roadway from south to north over the River Thames, people soon started erecting houses and shops on it. And it simply couldn't take the strain. In fact, nearly 200 businesses operated from the bridge at the height of its fame. But cracks began to appear, and the arches gradually gave way. And we have a nursery rhyme in Britain, London Bridge is falling down, which originates from the time when the London Bridge simply collapsed. It was stressed beyond its design capacity. And I believe our lives are the same. Many Christians, and I need to include myself in this, can overload our Maker's design and put ourselves into a state of sort of psycho-spiritual stress that we were never intended to bear. And the fruit of the Spirit are key to that Maker's design. When we are overextended, we become vulnerable to the behaviours that Paul describes in the same chapter as the works of the flesh. Live at a state of constant high arousal, and we are more prone to shortcut solutions like alcohol or illicit sex, and Paul alludes to both. Or we can well up with fits of rage and vindictiveness. Or we can become narcissistic and see the world as revolving only around me and nobody else. The lifestyle of constant and intense activity that we sometimes live leaves us prey to these temptations, and it even applies in the church. I've been a minister at 3 very different Baptist churches in my time. And here's a poem. Mary had a little lamb, 'twas given her to keep. But then she joined a Baptist church and died from lack of sleep. Now, you could put your own church stream in that line. But balancing giving and receiving as part of living well as a Christian, and these 9 fruits of the Spirit help us to understand where we're at in our spiritual progress. They help us to have a gauge on how we're getting on. Now, the Bible indicates that it's not only stresses that lead down these blind alleys. There's also a tendency within us, a sinful nature, that produces a bias towards infamy. And none of us is immune. So here's what Paul says. So I say this, live by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the sinful nature or the works of the flesh. And in the next segment, we'll see how this works out. God bless you. Well, from here, you can like, you can subscribe, and you can share what you've just seen with some of your friends. So please do click around on the screen here, and you'll find some other things that I hope will help to bolster your ministry. You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you're right here, and I appreciate that enormously. God bless you.